Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to chess tournaments with your boy GothamChess. That's me. Well, I don't even know. It's really late. It's been a long day. I've had to fly today. I had to check into a hotel 20 minutes before my game. Don't ask me why that happened. They didn't have any rooms. What are you gonna do? And then I had to play a chess game. I'm currently at the Spice Cup, which stands for the Susan Polgar Institute of Chess Excellence, ran by none other than Susan Polgar. I'm not sure if currently, but it's a fantastic tournament. They give free entry to titled players like myself. And yeah, it's just like designed for, people to play chess and have a good time. My first round opponent is Brian. I believe his last name is pronounced Ship. And Brian's, I don't know, like 11, 12. And was in China 2 years ago with me, but I wasn't coaching him when he was playing in the World Cadet. I thought he was going to play e4 because 90% of his games were e4. But he played d4. It's like, okay. Played knight f6. He played knight f3. And, I can play e6. I can play d5. I wasn't really thinking a whole lot in the opening. Like, I thought if he was going to play to London, he was going to play it on move 2. Oh, move 2, yeah. And I was like, all right, whatever. So he played this. Okay, we have a London. And I played the move c5, which is the main line. He played e3. I played knight c6, and he played knight d2. And this is the main line of the London. And here, black can play like anything at all. But the two main lines are e6 and everything else, basically. I mean, if you're not going to play e6, that's the fanciest way I can describe it. There's the main line, and then there's everything else. So I chose here to play something that I've been waiting to play, something that I kind of had is just a solid option, just to take on d4 right away. And actually now the structure resembles that of an exchange Caro-Kann. So e d5, c d5, and white plays in a kind of a strange, unique way. I play bishop to f5 now. And now there are two ways for black to play. Number one is bishop b5 with the intention to then play c4, loading up the cannon right away on this knight, which is pinned to the king. And I thought that he would maybe go for that. And then the other way is just to play in a classical London with the move c3. And I didn't remember a whole lot here. I was just after something relatively solid. So I played e6, and he played queen b3. And you know what's interesting? I couldn't exactly remember if in this position there was a move. Bishop d6. The idea of bishop d6 being that if white takes you and then takes this pawn on b7, then you just play rook b8. And you can take on b2, but I think it's actually not very good. I think it's actually better to castle first. And basically, like, white has a problem. And if white spends the game defending that problem, you just attack the queen, you play a5, you play rook b8, you just have a big lead in development. And if after c3, e6, queen b3, bishop d6, this move happens, I was pretty certain that this was a line where black sacrifices a pawn but gets two bishops, gets a lot of activity. White is maybe better according to the engine, but it's complicated. However, I'm like, what am I doing? I don't exactly remember what I'm supposed to do here. So why am I playing that? I'm just going to play queen c8. I'm just going to be solid. I mean, why am I taking crazy unnecessary risk? But bishop d6 actually is a line. Here my opponent plays bishop e2. I develop with bishop e7. There's always various lines. You can drop a knight out over here to get the bishop. So now he played h3. So I played h6. He castled, and I castled. Okay, very solid position. Now, what are the game plans? Well, obviously, white is going to try to occupy the central square in the London, which is something with e5. Something might happen over here on the queen side. C, A, B pawns. Maybe I'll jump my knight out, try to get the knight to c4 somehow. Very tough position. So, being the higher rated player, being in the position like, okay, I'm going to have to, like, at some point take some sort of risk. It's very tough to win this position with no risk. Like, I'm going to have to do something. So first I begin with the move a6. My idea is to play b5. My other idea is that if he plays a4, which is what he does in the game, like, I was thinking here to play the move knight a5. I ultimately decided not to play the move knight a5 because this is what I had been thinking. I thought that if he retreats, I can even go forward with knight c4. It turns out that knight c4 is not good. I actually thought this was a decent move, but I analyzed with Brian after the game, and my logic was take, and something like knight e5 going for this, knight d5, and I would play like b5. I would just hang on to this pawn, and I would be okay, and I'm correct. But where I'm wrong is that here white has an extremely strong move. You could try to find it if you'd like. I didn't see it from a distance. I would like to think that I would have found this over the board, but the move is a5. Preventing me from going b5, and then you have rook a4, knight e5, etc. And you're going to win my pawn. So, that's what I was thinking, actually. But I don't think queen d1 is necessary. Black just doesn't have to play the move knight c4. I didn't play knight a5 because actually the opponent can play this funny move. And he's just going to go like b4. And even though this is weak, I have to put my knight in front of my queen. So, I have nothing. Queen a2, b4, he just brings his pieces, plays b4. Like, so I was like, I'm not going to go knight a5. So I thought for a little bit, and I played the move rook d8. And the idea of rook d8 is just to trade his bishop. His bishop is better than mine, so I'm going to trade his bishop. He plays bishop f1. Solid move. You know, opens up the rook. I go here, he takes, and he plops his knight on e5. So I can't take his knight. Here again, I have a lot of... I can't take his knight, by the way, because of this. But here I set up the opportunity to take his knight. The hell am I talking about? Queen c7. Idea of queen c7 is that I want to play knight e5, d e5, and rook b6. I want to move my rook out of the way to attack his queen so he can't take my knight. So for example, if he plays something like knight f3 here, I have a choice, like I can take, but also I am trying to win the corresponding central square on e4. The thing is, the position is 0-0-0. It's completely dead, right? If you just plug this into an engine. So I'm keeping pieces on the board. You know, I'm not rushing with a move like knight e4 because the truth is, if we just start trading pieces, like it's still dead. And now there's less pieces on the board, which means it's a lot harder for me to actually create winning chances. So knight e5, I play queen c7, and here he played a move which shocked me. Absolutely shocked me. He played the move queen d1. I was like, what is he doing? Why? Okay. Where's this queen going? Like over here? Turns out, queen d1 is actually the top engine move. And actually, this is going to become a recurring theme in this game, where my younger, significantly younger, half my age, and 350-point lower rated opponent, who obviously I know is strong, but just continuously plays moves that I completely don't expect and turn out to be the top engine choice. Yeah. So queen d1. Queen d1, I thought a little bit. I was like, okay, well, now I don't have rook b6, right? So what do? Here are my options. I can drop the knight into the middle, but I don't like that because I don't want to trade too many pieces. I can go queen b6 to attack the b2 pawn. I can play rook to c8 because I don't really know what to do with my rook. I can go rook d8 because I don't really know what to do with my rook. I can go rook b8 to try to play b5 because I really don't know what to do with my rook. You see the recurring theme? Yeah. If I let the engine think here, 7 different moves it thinks are 0-0-0. So I played rook b8 with the intention to maybe play b5. However, bishop d3 is now possible. You see, folks, bishop d3 here was not possible because I would take and do this. He has to guard his bishop, and after it takes knight d7, I'm simply winning a pawn because both pawns are hanging and both pawns cannot be defended. That's why he played queen d1. To avoid that, yes, of course, he saw all that. Queen d1, rook b8, bishop d3. And so, of course, any human being here, any normal human being, just plays bishop takes d3, knight d3. Here's the problem. If I play that, I didn't play that. If I play that, how the hell am I going to win this game? Like, how am I going to win this game? He's going to put his other knight on e5. He has just very good structure over here. I mean, if I play like b5, he'll put his knight on c5. See, if I take the wrong type of risk and he puts his knight on c5, I'm just going to suffer. It's going to be a terrible position. So I need to take the right kind of risk, and I thought here actually did a very good job of that by playing rook dd8 and allowing him to play bishop takes f5. And now I have one control of the e4 square. So I've split my structure a little bit, but it's a little bit dynamic. Maybe I can, I can fight on the e file, which is something I couldn't do before. And I was expecting him to play like, you know, knight f3, queen f3 or something, blah, 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 you know, because this is very natural. My pawn's a bit delicate, but danger levels, knight e4. That was my idea. So again, we're sitting there thinking, and here he plays again the top engine choice. A move that totally shocked me. This dude just voluntarily brought his knight back to d3. Even though I hadn't taken his bishop. He just put it there. Out of the way of my knight taking it ever. Confidently standing, controlling a lot of space, opening up the rook. Top engine move. Nuts. Because when I play this move to try to get up in his face, he plays the follow-up top engine move. These moves did not shock me or win the game or anything like that. But they were more like moves that I didn't really expect because I didn't appreciate the strength of until they were played. Here, try to guess White's move here. You play knight e4, you know, obviously if knight e4 you take with f or d. Actually, they both look good. Center space advantage, you know, you're doing well. Knight a5, knight jumps out. You're trying to get the initiative. Here, after knight e4, homeboy played a move. I was like, how is this dude like 11? This is not an 11-year-old kid move. By the way, Brian, if you're like 13, I'm sorry. Small kid. Played knight f1. I was like, bro, excuse you? So the idea is obviously to play knight e3. And then maybe queen f3, and he's just, you know, this is just his way of fighting for the center, rerouting his knights. So I sat there thinking, I'm like, man, all right, at this point, I'm getting like a 10-15 minute lead on the clock, the biggest lead on the clock I've gotten all game. So I'm like, okay, I gotta play a few quick moves to keep the pressure on him. So I play queen d6. Idea of queen d6, that if he plays knight e3, maybe I play f4 even, maybe. You know, knight f5, wandering in, queen f6, like queen g6. I don't know. So he thinks for a bit and he plays a move that I didn't even see. This time I officially didn't even see. Queen h5. And that's an annoying move because I can't play g6 because I lose this pawn. We don't want to lose any pawns. But also, how the hell am I going to guard this pawn? So part of me wanted to just get really aggressive. Now, I by the way, I could go here, but this structure is just really bad because I've moved all my pawns to the left and I just don't have anything in the center. So in all endgames, I'm just worse. And the problem with getting really aggressive is I just have too many weaknesses. He can even play like f3. I'm not going to go trading because I'm going to lose my h-pawn. And if I go back, he takes. So that's not good. So I decided to play queen f6 and just not do anything stupid, just be solid. But then he plays knight e5 again. And it's like, I really just can't move a whole lot. So I said, okay, you know what? Now is where I'm going to take my calculated risk. Here we go. g5. And I'm setting a trap. And I'm setting a very nasty trap, by the way. The move g4 looks incredibly strong. Why? Because f4, knight d5 looks really, really good. Because I take and he takes. Now he's just won a pawn. Uh-oh, black blundered. Except my trap was that his queen is trapped. And I have queen g7, only move with knight f6 trapping the queen. The only way he can get out of this is to sack and then take here. And I was going to go queen f6. And it turns out the engine hates this. Wait, what? What did I... Oh, rook e5. Rook e5, knight f6, queen g5, and black... Oh, wow. So here I would have had to play queen g7. Wow. And actually, after knight f7, I would have had to play... I didn't even see that. Wow. Well, that was my idea. I'm analyzing this live on the go here. But after g5, homeboy surprised me again by just getting out of there. And I'm like, now he's playing g4 with something. So, okay, rook d6, g4, I'm going to take. He played queen f6. I actually thought for about a minute and a half, like minute 45 here, on rook f6 or knight f6. Because I was like, rook f6, hg, rook f2. And then I'm like, wait a minute, bro, there's just a fork. You moron, what are you doing? So, anyway, I took on f6 with the knight. I did not blunder that. And again, white is better. White is better because he has the better knights. He has better structure of pawns. But I am still in the game, obviously, and I'm still very much trying to create some winning chances. I mean, this is move 27. We're both running a little bit low on time, and he's like visibly a bit nervous. So I'm like, okay, h5. Here we go. If he takes. I got my pawns together. Rook rotates, king. Not there. That would hang a rook, but like 2h6. You know, I'm like, oh, we in business. Dude just plays super solid, just f3. Now I'm sitting there thinking, do I take or do I push? Do I take, do I push, do I take, do I push? You know what, let me just play king g7. I know knight f5 is always kind of a concern, but my knight always covers, I'm completely fine. My game plan is at some point to reroute this knight, because it's not doing a whole lot, maybe to that square, like h7, f8, e6, boom, or, you know, we'll figure it out. Maybe f6 once I move this knight to kick his knight out. Always have to worry about my loose piece. Always worrying about something like this. You never know when that's coming. So here he played king g2, and I said, okay, to hell with it. Now it's time to play h4. Now, I have a protected pass pawn, but it's always a liability with rook h1 and f4, and we both only have about 5 minutes on the clock here. So he's thinking, again plays one of the best engine moves. Knight goes again back to d3. Because the knight here is always delicate. And I realize he has another very annoying idea. He finds another very annoying idea with just minutes on the clock. f4. He is now going to use the pawns that I thought were actually my strength as a liability, right? So I'm like, oh my god. And then I came up with what I thought was a really interesting idea. Knight h7, f4, defending my pawn, rook f8. I thought this was super, super clever. Engine hates it, but the engine doesn't understand my style of chess. My idea was that I was going to play f5. That is how I was going to get my counterplay. With my rooks against this lone king, with my h-pawn, with my knight, and you know, the guy's got a minute on the clock, so now we're actually making some progress. I'm about to play f5, and if he plays f5, it's a huge liability, because now he doesn't have knight f5 anymore. So now he froze his structure, he's never going to get to my pawns, I have an advantage for sure. But, he takes on g5. I take, he plays knight f4, I'm like, yes, f5, here we go. And with just, you know, very low time, he's got a minute, he's playing on the bonus time, 30-second bonus every time you make a move. I have like 3 minutes. Here's what I quickly calculated. Obviously, if we swap the house on f5, black is better. I have pressure here. I'm pushing this, doubling up at some point, just don't blunder a fork. Everything is looking good. And then I also saw him in this position. If he does something like knight takes d5, which looks good, I have something absolutely, or like, for example, this. I have something absolutely violent here. I can go check. He can't take because I take his knight after I take. And if he plays king h1, I have the absolutely savage. This is one of the most savage moves of all time, knight f3. The threat of knight f3 is I'm threatening knight g3 mate, and the game is over. However, Homeboy thought down to about 5 seconds on the clock and played the only move according to Stockfish. Everything else is better for black. Homeboy played rook f1, the only move, keeping the tension everywhere. And if I take on g4, he checks me and he gets in and suddenly he's attacking me. What the hell? So finally I was like, you know what? All right, it's time to cash it in. There's nothing else. As far as I was concerned, there was nothing else. I had to play this. And turns out he actually doesn't even have to take. He can play king h2, which he told me he thought of. So he even thought of the move that was even the best move. But because he had, like, you know, seconds on the clock, what I thought I was tricking him here with this move, with getting my rooks to this file, attacking his king. He plays knight f5 check. And we get to an endgame of 2 rooks and 4 each. But I realized here his best move. He should play king f3, put his king directly in front of my pawns, and he is actually playing this for an advantage. He's playing this for a win, but the game concluded with rook e1 f3, and now I created this barrier. It's a very funny barrier. And he went here, check, here, here. And here he has a very difficult decision, whether to take my pawn or play the move rook to e2. He went back to e2. I slid back. He took. I gave him a check. And this is a draw. So this endgame, he might apparently be able to play on with rook f2. But it looks actually funny. It looks like I'm going to mate him, but there's no mate. I think the game concluded with check here, and then he played this, so I didn't mate him. I played rook g2, and here he just played this. And the game ends in a draw because, first of all, if I take, I'm just a pawn down in an endgame. That's idiotic. I just went here. And the game ends like this. So I don't even feel bad about this game. I lose a little bit of rating. But it's really hard to win a game when your opponent plays so well. The hell am I going to do? So anyway, that was round one. Hopefully you enjoyed. That was a tough London game, and probably the lesson there is I should have been a little bit more dynamic in the opening. Probably should have gone with this very aggressive line with the b7 pawn being sacrificed, but I didn't know it. So, like, why would I play a line I don't know? Why would I take that risk, right? So I was solid, and dude played super well. What are you going to do? I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go brush my teeth, lay in bed, and fall asleep. See you all for the rest of the rounds. Oh, crap. I forgot to say this in the intro. It's a new tournament, which means that all my courses are 33% off using code SPICE. SPICE. Anyway, I'll tell you all that in the other recap. Good night.